Donc, je le disais, nous arrivons au terme de cette journée.
That's the end of our Spring 2022 event. And in order to close this absolutely wonderful day, well, as far as I'm concerned, it was full of things that I discovered and learnt. So let's host Jean-Michel Fourgous, the chairman of the local authority for Saint-Quentin-en-Yvelines, the representative for Versailles in charge of economic development, and Mayor of Bois-d'Arcy. Yes, please, a round of applause. Grégoire de Lasteyrie, President of the Paris-Saclay Communauté and representative of the Île-de-France region and Mayor of Paris, and Mr. Van de Maele, you are the chairperson of the public agency in charge of developing Paris-Saclay. We met you this morning, but thank you for being back. Mr. Fourgous, you are the president of the Saint-Quentin-en-Yvelines local authority. You usually say that Paris-Saclay is the French Silicon Valley. Would you say that today is a proof of that? Well, as you know, MIT ranked Paris-Saclay in the 8th position for the most innovative territories in the world, so that's quite nice. Then the Paris-Saclay education system, we've been invited to the Dubai Universal Exhibition to present our educational system. And Shanghai gave us a top ranking. We've been classified as the most scientific university in the world for mathematics. So that's a huge privilege. And we have a number of companies in this territory with high added value, high-tech companies. We're talking about safety in the future, hospital for the future, education of the future, health in the future, and even transportation for the future, because we have 4 Olympic Games, a site, including, and 5 if we include Versailles. So that's an opportunity to develop a mindset with sports and companies. We have all the values to achieve. And, you know, to achieve good sports performance, you need to have values, and these values are the same that make you win as a business. And Saint-Quentin, MPs in Saint-Quentin fast-tracked the tax relief. We moved it from 400 million money that was reimbursed to more than 4 billion for companies that carry out research. And that was initiated by Paris-Saclay and our MPs, and they had this law passed. And then there is the law, the OIN, that gives you status. So Paris-Saclay benefits by an exceptional status. And not just Paris-Saclay, because Spring continues and irrigates the entire territory with the circuit of innovations and open-door operations in Saint-Quentin-en-Yvelines. So that's the entire territory that grows and develops thanks to this culture of excellence you were talking about. Absolutely. We host incubators in our 3 municipalities, and you know, company, that's the most wonderful thing. I mean, it's a human being with ideas meeting another one with money, and a third one with sales experience, and all 3 meet with public authorities that support them so that they can get their business started as quickly as possible. But at the end of the day, it's always a human adventure, and you need to be able to love, to listen to people, to listen to entrepreneurs, and understand that we still need to adapt our laws. We want our companies to have as little constraints as possible so that they can move as fast as possible. So all this is an environment of love that we try to provide them with, because humans need love and consideration and respect. They need to be recognized and understood. And yes, we are 3 municipalities involved in that, and it's quite a big success. Yes, we feel solidarity. Likewise, in Versailles, Versailles Grand Parc, is also very much involved in innovation, not just here in Saclay. It also has an impact in Versailles because you are hosting major industrial players. I'm thinking about Air Liquide, the Yvelines cluster. All this is very attractive. Yes, quite clearly so. In Versailles Grand Parc, we have a very dynamic and very innovative territory. But it's not just Versailles, it's all our 3 territories. All cities are included in the OIN of Paris-Saclay, and we have 5% private R&D spendings in our territories. We have large groups, Carmack, JSK, large groups in our territories. And we also have startups. And it's the very spirit of spring. This is what startup needs. They need to work together with large companies. And in close proximity, we decided to focus, well, you know, we have some historic heritage in Versailles, but we try and combine history and innovation. And there is a lot in innovation. We looked at topics which are quite different from that of our colleagues, but in complementarity, we are trying to focus on urban mobilities and urban ecology, which are strong levers for development. We've sent a call for proposal on innovative mobilities to think about decarbonated transportation in our cities for the future. And we still have land. We have the Satori area that's going to develop. And since the beginning, we started thinking, okay, the cities of the past are over. We need to attract economic players in our territories, and we need to have them set up business next to where people live. That's why we have innovative players and people living in Versailles, so people don't have to spend 2 hours on public transportation, and they can live where they work and have high-quality jobs. Okay, so these are very major challenges for your cities. You were talking about your fellow citizens. So that's interesting. How can we make sure that innovation is not kept in silos? Because, well, very often you have silos in the community of research, but how can you make sure that anybody can be in touch with innovation? Well, we have open door events. We have VDComs so that people can discover what autonomous vehicles will be in the future, how we think about new transportation methods. You were talking about incubators. We have one here, but we have another one with Air Liquide called Accélère, and it opens its door tomorrow. So that's an opportunity to meet with these people and to talk to these professionals. And we also have the Aero Garage of Safran that will have its door open tomorrow, so that all citizens can discover these venues, and I think that's a challenge we all have in our territories, and to attract inhabitants in our territories, because at the moment we have huge difficulties in attracting people. But the more attractive we are, the better we can help economic players recruiting labour. Okay, let me digress, but it's good to include the public at large in these issues, which may be scary to some people. You know, robotics, big data, that can generate some level of stress. So it's good to open your doors and educate people. Yeah. We talked about green tech, food tech, mobility. There is also agricultural tech for the future. We don't want these technologies to come at the expense of work, of jobs, and you don't want to scare people, but because these technologies are here to make farmers' life easier, for instance, when you talk about agricultural technologies. So we need to decrease this anxiety in front of these sometimes scary innovations. Okay, thank you. Now turning to your colleague, you're representing the Île-de-France region. This is the end of our spring edition. So What's the visibility of this event in the Paris region? Well, we're so proud we can host this new spring edition in Saclay. Spring started a few years back with the public agency for the development of Paris-Saclay. It was called Paris-Saclay Connection. Now it's called Paris-Saclay Spring. It's a recurrent event. It's very well known by all players, and all the exchanges we had earlier shows that this is very important in a territory of innovation like ours, because innovation is a very specific alchemy in order to produce very positive results and outcomes. It requires connecting people. That's the rule number one in innovation. It's making people meet scientists, people in finance, academia, and spring is a springboard for innovation. Second important thing for a territory like ours is to have an environment that's robust so that entrepreneurs really want to set up their business in our territory, and that's what we do by creating incubators, by offering premises and office space for companies to grow and develop all along their life. And we want to create an environment that's conducive to meeting other people. And last but not least, for innovation to prosper, is to give some meaning to innovation. And that's the case here at Paris-Saclay, where you have innovation for sustainable development to make this a better world. That was the objective of our day. And it's true that, just like us, you visited all these stands, all these booths, with lots of new ideas, and each and every project is trying to make this a better world. And so that answers your question. How can we make sure that innovation is not scary? Well, to do that, you need to give it some meaning. Okay, that's important. 40% of public research and private R&D is based here in Paris-Saclay. That's a huge figure. Yes, it is a huge figure in Île-de-France. For a national figure, it's 15% of all French R&D spendings that are based here in Paris-Saclay. And the Île-de-France region, and Valérie Pécresse, its president, who apologizes for not joining us, is fully aware of that. And she is insisting on that, and she is investing a lot. This investment strategy in the Île-de-France region is articulated according to 3 pillars. So we have sectors in which we have a leading place. We're number 1 in mathematics for the Shanghai ranking. We're number 1 in Europe, so that's quite important. And for those areas in which we're a leading country, we have to capitalize on that. And I'm thinking about quantum physics, I'm thinking about biotechs, and AI, and of course we have initiatives to support companies and startups. I'm thinking about the Quantum Pact that supports 8 projects at local level for a budget of 3 million euros. I'm not going to talk about all these schemes because there are too many, but once we've targeted key sectors, we then need to encourage new sectors to operate their transition. And that's true for the car industry, that's true for the aircraft industry. For instance, in the region, we are working on clean planes. That's a major issue because we have 2 large airports in our territory, and we also want to see economic development prospects. So there again, the region is supporting these initiatives, and of course you need to create a good environment to entrepreneurs, and that's what we do when we offer office space, when we offer money, funding, and we create trust and confidence. And by the way, I talked to many company leaders, and all of them said the same thing. We are growing, and we want to stay here because this is where things happen. This is where there is research, and then there is high quality of life in this territory beyond quality of research. You know, between Versailles, Saint-Quentin, and Saclay, you are in cities, but also in the countryside with high quality of life. So for all these reasons, we need to provide them with the right answers. And this is what we all try and do. Okay, you talked about all these topics that we talked about today in food tech, etc. So Philippe Van de Maele, you are the General Director of the Paris-Saclay Development Agency, one of the organizations that was one of the initiators of this demonstration. You were with us this morning for the opening of this session. So you'll make the closing comments. This was a very intense day. At least for the two of us, we learnt a lot. But it also gave evidence of the momentum of this region, which is leading in innovation. So what are the lessons for you from this day? Well, there is a huge momentum. We are very fortunate here because we have clusters of excellence that combine academia and companies. We also have lots of investors, and it's this general momentum that we can enjoy here. And we've seen that today with all the meetings and contacts that took place, and that's what I want to remember. We have this momentum. We have all these clusters of excellence, and we are trying to design solutions for the future here. And you want to maintain your ranking, because we are at a very high level in global ranking, but we want to maintain this because there is tough competition. Because there is competition. Yes, there is. But we're very fortunate. We have lots of talent in this territory. And it's just a beginning. I'm quite certain we'll have many other companies that will come and set up business here. Some have announced their willingness to come, so we wait for them to arrive and join us. But I'm quite certain we will improve our positioning. But today was an opportunity. Today was a day when people could meet and talk to one another, and I want to thank all those of you who made pitches. It was very important. Okay, a few words before we close this day. You offer the keys of your cities to international companies, or even to large French companies. Are you still doing that? Well, if I may, I think we're doing that even more at the moment. In 2026, we will have a metro line that will start at the airport in Orly to go all the way to Saint-Quentin, Yvelines, and Versailles. So it's the right time for companies to make a decision to invest in our territories. It's a beautiful period. And all I'm saying to companies is that, okay, we still have square meters, but that's not going to last forever. And if you want to set up business here, don't wait for too long. Okay, Eric, a few words? Yeah, and I'd like to say that we have a great digital culture here. We have education centers and institutions that we develop and strengthen. But we need to tell people that digital technologies are probably the most powerful tool if we want to change the world and make it a better world, a better place. So if that's what you want to do, you're welcome in the Saclay territory. And by the way, we're seeing that with inhabitants leaving Paris and coming to our cities, which are more breathable. So we need to attract innovative players. We all have clusters. In Versailles, we have the Satori area, which is going to develop with huge potentials. We have 3 territories which work together, which are very much connected. We are not cannibalizing one another. We are working in full complementarity. And this is a beautiful region. Now we need to find economic partners who want to invest on the long term, and I'm quite confident we'll see beautiful projects being developed here. Okay, so welcome to companies who want to set up business in this beautiful region. Thank you all. Thank you so much for being with us on this set. And we are now closing. Please, gentlemen. So thanks to you, we understood that the future is being invented here. Thank you. If you want to change the world, join us. Maybe not tomorrow, because we won't be here anymore tomorrow. No, we will travel and we will meet with other innovators, but we'd like to thank all the teams, technical teams, organizing teams. Congratulations to all of them, because it's a lot of work. So thanks to you all. A huge thanks to all of you who took part to this beautiful day. I was delighted to moderate this day with you, Alexandre. We have a replay available as of Monday. If you could not make it, if you were not with us here in the room, it will be available on YouTube. You have pitches, round table. All this will be available on the Paris-Saclay spring platform. And all I can say is we wish you can change the world in a sustainable way. And thank you, and see you next year. Bye.